Well, here we are. We are back in the saddle, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this party started. 2020 versus 2024. Up to this point, we've probably taken several hundred steps to get to where we are. It is an incredible piece of software. It has been a heck of a journey because of the difficulties that Microsoft had for launch. However, they have been doing a ridiculous amount of work to get this thing right, and it is getting much, much better. Not a lot of glitching going on at this point. Honestly, I haven't had a crash yet today, and just kind of did a few things to double check to see what the stability was like once I actually woke up for a decent sized nap, which I desperately needed. But here we go. 3, 2, 1, and bang, we are in our headquarters. We have already gotten our commercial pilot's license out of the way. That part has already been taken care of. Now, if you're trying to get into helicopters for this version of Microsoft Flight Sim, you are going to need to get your pilot's license all over again, and you start that off in fixed wing general aviation aircraft, and you work your way through this certification tier. You can see I have one passed. It is the private pilot license for airplane, and then it branches off to where you can either go to the left side for airplanes, or you can go off to the right side for choppers. What I find interesting is how little there are on this side as compared to this side. The options for fixed wing are definitely more in number, but we're going to see what we're up against today. You are going to come with me and learn a little bit about commercial pilot license for rotorcraft in MSFS 2024. You can see that I've already got the PPL, and I've performed 4 of 2 first flight airplane missions just to kind of secure a little bit of points in there. I'm going to click on it, and here we go. So, one thing I want to do with this is continuously do every single one of these steps. Why do I want to do that? Because it should increase my experience as a pilot. It should also increase some of the recognition that I get within the sim, right? So what I want to do is actually build up my reputation for customers, because right now I'm at a C rating. I had a really hard time kind of keeping altitude in the airplanes, and what I should have done is actually used an autopilot to like fix altitude and stuff like that, but I was just really trying to fight my way through it as quickly as I possibly could. Ooh, we get to learn a little bit about these things. I will even go as far as to see the full briefing. So it says, in your first helicopter training, you will become familiar with the Cabri G2's rotor system and cockpit. You will understand the use of the helicopter's flight controls, identify classic 6-pack instruments, become familiar with the features unique to the Cabri, and the EPM and MLI. Full briefing report. We are going to learn some equipment. There we go. So we're going to start the training, and I think as long as I click into that, it's going to recognize that I took the time to check out that portion of the flight plan or pre-flight and mission set and the directions that they're giving me. Whether or not I'm reading them is a different story. I try to, but I'm not going to read all of them. I ain't got time for that. I want to get down. I want to get dirty. I want to get up in the air. Let's do this. Some of these do take a considerable amount of time to load, especially when you're going through it first time. Now, yesterday, every single time I tried to get into a training session like this, the system would crash. Every time. So I would have to do one of these missions, get to this point, and then it would crash. Reload the simulator, start a second one, and it would get to this point, and then it would crash, and get, you know what I mean? It was this constant vicious cycle. So I sincerely hope that none of that nonsense will be happening today. I have a feeling we're going to be okay. Like I said, just from what I was doing this morning with it, it seems to be in much better condition. Much better condition. which is very, very nice to see, especially after that first day at launch. Woo, that was almost too much to handle. But I'm glad we stuck through it. Hopefully you all learned a little bit something about setting up your own sensitivities and control settings and some of the tricks I kind of went over as far as that process goes when you're button mapping, because there is a big difference between that procedure in 2020 versus 2024. And honestly, I think it was a whole lot easier in 2020, but you know, we're so new with this version. I think pretty soon what we're going to see is them kind of really fixing that, and we're in. Not too bad. I do like the way the graphics kind of come in blocks, though. It's pretty interesting.
Welcome to the beginning of your
Look at the scenery up in here.
In our first helicopter
You're even
lesson.
serious right now?
My name is Paul Martin, and I will be your flight instructor. I must say, it is a very beautiful time of the year to begin your helicopter trainings at Grenoble-le-Versailles Aerodrome. Meet our trainer helicopter, Cabri G2. You already know how the flight control surfaces of airplanes work, right? But do you understand how a helicopter turns without ailerons and speeds up without elevator? Here, look at the Cabri's main rotor. This is our main control surface. By tilting the main rotor disc forward, backward, left, or right, we can change the direction of the thrust vector and move the helicopter in the chosen direction.
Moving my
As with most French-designed
cyclic as we're
helicopters,
doing this to
the
see
main
if it's
rotor
reacting.
blades advance in a
See the
clockwise
pitch, but
direction.
it's not.
What do you think we need the tail rotor for? Walk closer and look at it. By changing the tail rotor's thrust, we can control the direction that the nose of the helicopter points. The Cabri G2 utilizes a fenestrine-type tail rotor. It differs from a conventional open-tail rotor by being integrally housed within the tail boom. Now let's continue our training inside the cockpit. Get in and buckle up.
Shift C should put me in. Nope, this one says enter the helicopter by using the door handle. So there is a shortcut available that is Shift C on some of these, but we're not getting that just yet. They want us to actually
Don't be
make
surprised
sure,
that you're
they
sitting
want to
on
make
the
sure that
right
we actually know
side.
how to use a door
Unlike in
handle.
airplanes,
It's very important.
pilots typically sit on the right seat in helicopters. Now, let's make you familiar with the Cabri's flight controls. Look here, this is what we call the collective lever, or simply collective. We use collective to climb or descend, or in other words, to control our vertical speed. Here's what we call the cyclic stick, or just cyclic. It looks similar to the airplane's stick, doesn't it? It behaves very similarly too, at least in a forward flight.
Here we go with things not being
Left or right
recognized. Like
inputs
I'm
cause
looking
the
at it.
helicopter to roll into a turn, and forward and back inputs change the pitch attitude. On the top of the cyclic stick, you can see a cyclic trim knob. The Cabri uses a dual-axis electric trim, allows you to completely release the static forces in flight, both longitudinal and lateral.
Again, I've got very sensitive
And
controls
finally,
on this.
the anti-torque pedals,
I'm barely
located
moving
in the
it.
same place as the rudder pedals in an airplane.
It's weird that something you would operate with your feet would be in the same place in both helicopters and
They serve a
airplanes.
similar
Who would have
purpose
thought
controlling
that
the
your
direction
feet would be
that
in
the
the
nose of
same
the aircraft
location?
points. In a hover flight, they help you to control yaw and heading. But in forward flight, they serve the same purpose as in airplanes, adjusting
Shift
the cyclic
spacebar is a cockpit view
Sounds pretty
reset.
easy so far, isn't it? Let's have a look at the instrument panel. I'm sure you have already spotted what we call the six-pack. 6 primary instruments all airplanes also have. Look at the altimeter, for instance. As you see, the ground elevation here is around 720 feet. An interesting fact related to altitude.
Having these little call-outs during the process of acquiring your PPL is really, really helpful, because it tells you and reminds you that you need to be doing certain steps in order to properly achieve your license. And if those little call-outs aren't there, I guarantee you are going to miss steps. There was quite a few glitches when it came to speaking with ATC. Like it was asking you to go to a hold short, and the option to talk to the tower or ground wasn't even available. The only thing you could do was speak to ATIS.
It is very
You
important
listened to the
monitor
weather
ESI,
report, and that was all you
especially
could
on
do,
descent.
and it
If you
literally
descend
forced
faster
you
than
to
300
fail
feet per
at the
minute at
test.
low
So
airspeed,
that's another
you may
reason why
send
I
your
have
helicopter into its own
the low
downwash.
rating that I've got,
This
because
is
I
called a
skipped
vortex
over some
ring
of these
state, and
options
it is an
because it
emergency
wasn't even
situation
available.
you will eventually learn to deal with.
I was
But for now,
considering
simply
kind
use
of
to
even
monitor
like
your VSI,
restarting the
just like you
flight
monitor
when that was
altitude,
happening, but I was like, how
airspeed,
long do I
and
want this
engine
to take?
parameters. Another thing to remember while flying is to keep the fuselage in the correct streamline position. For that, we monitor the turn coordinator ball, just like we do in airplanes. Or the more sensitive indicator, the yaw string, just like we do in gliders. The ball and the yaw string should be kept in the center. We won't use other classic instruments much in our trainings, because we will mostly fly by visual references. However, you do need to know about the EPM, which stands for Electronic Pilot Monitor. Let's start the engine and avionics to see it running.
See, now it's just telling me I can do a Control E instead of having to go through the entire startup procedure, which isn't hard, especially in this aircraft, but why not just do what they require, right?
Great.
I don't know if you get any extra points for doing it manually.
EPM combines all common motor and
thinking
rotor
you
monitoring
would,
instruments on a single LCD screen,
I got time
as
for
well
that.
as the in-flight fuel management. The thing we're most interested in is the Smart Power Indicator. Have a closer look at it. It is called the MLI, which stands for Multiple Limit Indicator. It is a special feature of the Cabri G2. A red line shows the available performance and limits at a glance. We will refer to the power indications a lot in our trainings. Okay.
And these are
enough
also
talking.
videos you can't
Time
skip
to get
over.
up in the air and fly. In our next training, you will have your first taste of piloting a Cabri G2.
It's amazing that they make you spend that much time staring at a cockpit that you've been using for thousands of hours. Like, thanks, guys. So this is another issue I had yesterday. I had to go back to certification after every training, or it would crash. So what I would do is go back to cert, and then, back and forth. But I'm going to try this today to see if I can just go straight to the next training. See how much easier. See, okay, and here's the issue. What is this that we're looking at right now? Is that a field of stars? Is it the world coming in? What is happening? So what I do not want to do right now is continue, because I guarantee you there is supposed to be some sort of visual right here. I'm actually going to escape and go back. Hopefully this is all, again, just bugs they're working out. I'm pretty confident that it is. But, it's very frustrating to have to just bounce back and forth between these menus to get this to see. There's the graphic. You want to just do this to make sure that it is following its own path through this situation. You know what I mean? The simulator needs to know where in the progression you are. Practice straight and level flight. Make a couple of turns following the bends of the Isere River. Use the cyclics trim and experience a HOGE hover out of ground effect. See the full briefing. There we go. We visited. We started. Something that I also did with this to make things a little bit easier is it gives you that look at what your flight plan is supposed to look like your flight path is displayed in that blue ribbon. I would use the snipping tool that is on the computer to kind of just grab a screenshot of only that and then put that on another monitor so I could always go back and reference it. Man, look at it's fall. Look at the trees up in here. Man, what a difference. 2024.
Here we are, flying along the Grezavon Valley in the French Alps. Look around while I am piloting. On your left-hand side, you can see the Belladon mountain range. And on your right-hand side, there are the Chartreuse Mountains.
Neither was he. So again, it's not recognizing it, so I'm going to use the shortcut keys it's offering.
On the count of 3, I will give you control of the helicopter. Prepare to slightly push cyclic forward to maintain the correct attitude. 3, 2, 1. It's yours now. Using the cyclic, keep the helicopter in a straight and level flight along the Iser River you can see below. I will take care of the collective control and maintaining the altitude, so you can focus on our speed and ground track. Reach cruise speed of 80 knots. Push the cyclic to speed up, or pull the cyclic to slow down.
I am definitely going faster than 80 knots. This was extremely hard in fixed wing to do.
Now try to maintain 80 knots through all maneuvers.
I can only imagine what it's going to be like in a chopper.
To maintain the same speed, try to remember the position of the horizon line and maintain it visually in the same place. That will make sure you're flying with the same speed.
Well, get your banner away from my... The airspeed indicator was covered up by the banner so much you couldn't really see. The airspeed indicator goes away. I mean, you can sort of still see the needle through it, but I think the opacity on those banners' backgrounds needs to be altered a little
See
bit.
how you always need to keep the cyclic deflected to maintain the same attitude? After you've found a proper cyclic position, use the cyclic's trim to release static forces.
Nose up, nose down. See, I don't have that mapped for this. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Set cyclic lateral axis. Here we go again, back and forth. So we're going to go into the settings. We're going to go into the controls. Set cyclic lateral axis. Where do I want to map this now? We're going to do it to, I think, the throttle. We'll see if I have any. Yep, there is a conflict. Increase lateral rotor trim. So what I'm going to do is actually swap these two out. So this banner up here will actually become increase rotor lateral trim, and then I'll delete. Then I can go back, and we're only on that button. Okay. Save, and back, and resume, and now I should be able to press that. Wow. Set cyclic lateral axis. Lateral axis. That is what I've done. It is on button number 8. There are no conflicts. It's not doing anything else that I know of. So if I just go search by input, hit the button press, it is the only one there. So again, here we go with this thing not recognizing what it's asking me to do when I'm actually doing it. And I'm slowing down a lot. I'm going to absolutely fail this. I am going to do this. I'm going to restart because this is what it takes to kind of get that good rating with it, because if you fail it, I don't know if you ever have the chance to go back and retry and get a better grade. So what I've been doing is, if this isn't keeping up,
Here we are,
I go back and do it again until all of the steps are met.
Look around while
I don't know why I'm going to be
On
that
your left-hand
anal
side,
about it,
you
but
can
I am.
see the Belladon Mountain Range. And on your right-hand side, there are the Chartreuse Mountains.
We did the shift key.
Beautiful, aren't they? On the count of 3, I will give you control of the helicopter. Prepare to slightly push cyclic forward to maintain the correct attitude. 3, 2, 1. It's yours now. Using the cyclic, keep the helicopter in a straight and level flight along the Iser River you can see below. I will take care of the collective control and maintaining the altitude, so you can focus on our speed and ground track. Reach cruise speed of 80 knots. Push the cyclic to speed up, or pull the cyclic to slow down. Now try to maintain 80 knots through all maneuvers.
That's what the cyclic lateral action. That was
longitudinal. To maintain the same
longitudinal.
speed, try to remember the position of the horizon line and maintain it visually in the same place. That will make sure you're flying with the same
If that's
speed.
a set axis, why does it push the helicopter like... okay, I just lost all my speed. Not looking out the windshield.
Keep
Why am I
flying
looking at the
straight
seat?
until the
Oh,
river
okay.
begins curving to the right.
This is horrible.
See how you always need to keep the cyclic deflected to maintain the same attitude? After you've found a proper cyclic position, use the cyclic's trim to release static forces.
So there we go. I'm actually using the hat switch on the cyclic with my buttons using my mouse. So this trim works much better. So now with the set lateral axis, you know what we should do? Probably listen to these guys. Oh, there's a little pop out here. I like it. So lateral axis. I think if we go into settings, assistance, I want to have the... Yeah, I have the pilot assists on. You're right. Absolutely. Have you ever flown the Colibri in bad weather? I want to pass these tests. Don't hold it against me. Learn from it. I'll get around to flying it without the assists on after these tests are passed. I'm cheating. I know it, but I don't care. Pilot and controls notifications. Display active weather. Yeah, why not? Okay, so I think that's the one that's going to give us the little call-outs on these buttons. Nope. I'm still looking for the lateral trim. I can right plus cyclic lateral. There we go. Elevator trim nose up and
Feels
down.
better now,
We've got that one. You can see this being checked off. But this one right here, reach river bend, cyclic lattice, set cyclic lateral axis. Yeah, I'm just flying probably into a mountain here pretty soon. Let's see if we can find these assistants. Piloting assistance. Realism, I'm not worried about. Turbulence I have is low because I'm not about to get sick behind my computer. Taxi ribbon flight path. Display active waypoints. I know that there's a way to see the controls. Flight surfaces, instruments, and systems. Is it here? Smoke, wings, fold, miscellaneous. Trigger horn. Anti-ice flight instruments. Let's see if we just do... Is it callouts? No. Okay. Well, I don't want to burn too much time doing this more so than I already have. So, how do we get past this version of it? Let's get back away from looking at the seat here. I'm going to start cycling through some of the buttons that are...
We went too far from our training area. Take us back.
Stop. See? Restart. Before that mission ends, restart. I don't want to... be held accountable for all of those fails. It's just nope.
Here we are, flying along the Grezavon Valley in the French Alps. Look around.
That's not the score I want.
On your left-hand side, you can see the Belon Mountain Range. And on your right-hand side, there are the Chartreuse Mountains.
I wish this was just a little easier. I really do.
Beautiful, aren't they? On the count of 3, I will give you control of the helicopter. Prepare to slightly push cyclic forward to maintain the correct attitude. 3, 2, 1. It's yours now. Using the cyclic, keep the helicopter in a straight and level flight along the Iser River you can see below. I will take care of the collective control and maintaining the altitude, so you can focus on our speed and ground track. Reach cruise speed of 80 knots. Push the cyclic to speed up, or pull the cyclic to slow down.
They really do need to move that banner and fix that.
Now try to maintain 80 knots through all maneuvers.
Try to maintain 80 knots through
To maintain the same speed, try to remember the position of the horizon line and maintain it visually in the same place. That will make sure you are flying with the same speed.
I really don't like that banner.
Keep flying straight until the river begins curving to the right. See how you always need to keep the cyclic deflected to maintain the same attitude? After you've found a proper cyclic position, use the cyclic's trim to release static forces. Feels better now, right?
Nope, feels the same. And that's, feels the same. All the way back up to 100 knots. See how you can get close to 80 knots? You don't have to be exactly on it. But you gotta be close. Again, the sensitivity of the cyclic really does play a factor in how easy this is to stay at a specific speed.
Here we are. Let's try some turns now. You see the river is turning right? Try to fly above the river and turn right together with its curve.
No, I didn't see that. I didn't realize that the river is bending to the right. Good eye. This dude's talented. He can see a river.
There you are. Now make a sharp left turn following the river line. But this time, try to make the turn coordinated. Don't forget to use pedals to avoid any slip and skid, just like in airplanes.
Move the banner. Basically, come to a stop. Left turn. It needs me to do a left turn. Check.
Now you see how little pressure on the controls you need to control a helicopter. Let's do something you never do in airplanes. Let's bring our airspeed to 0 knots. Gently pull the cyclic back until you reach 0 knots. This is called hovering out of ground effect. Feels interesting for airplane pilots, doesn't it? Keep the cyclic back to maintain 0 knots airspeed. Now try to use your trim to move the neutral position of your cyclic. You can trim the helicopter when you hover, when you climb, or when you are in cruise. This releases the forces on the stick and lets you better feel the controls.
So I'm hands off. I only have my feet on the pedals at this point. I have no other inputs happening. So I'm just setting up a trim to maintain the hover. Rotor trim reset. So let's go into the menu. I want to put that on a button mapping for sure. Trim reset is mapped to button 11. But here you go again. Which button is button 11, people? And what button do I want to put it on? So first of all, let's just hit backspace as we're over the top of this right here. And then we're going to... Come on now. I wanted that wrong device. That's why. I want it on my collective. Right here. And then we'll come into the settings, toggle the landing gear is not what I want there, so we're going to swap that so it is the control we're manipulating. We'll delete, go back, search, press the button we mapped it to, and it is there. So now we can go save, back, resume, in the cockpit, press the button, reset cyclic trim. Oh, a nice little jump when you reset it. What is that about?
Nice.
But at least it does tick the box and moves you
Is
on.
all easy. I want to admit that currently I'm helping you stabilize our helicopter. You see, since we slowed down, the airflow over the tail is not enough to counteract the helicopter's rotating tendencies anymore. So I keep pushing the right pedal and adjusting our cyclic a little to stabilize our flight. Let me show you what happens when I stop helping you.
Nothing. That's what happens.
Okay. I am assisting you again. Don't let these rotating tendencies scare you. It is a fun challenge, and you will master it in no time during our next trainings. As for our today's lesson, I believe a little more practice with maintaining the correct speed would do you good. I would even recommend reviewing your old airplane trainings related to attitude and turns.
Let's see what kind of rating I got. I did let some things slip in there. That's for sure. But a C, it does give you the option to retry. Okay, so let's try this. Yesterday this would crash the sim, so I'm rolling the dice, taking the chance. And wow, I don't even have time to pour a cup of coffee in the time that it takes these modes to load. I'm mode loading. I love it. The speed at which this thing is moving right now is very nice.
Here we are, flying along the Grezavon
Let's see if we can
Valley
improve
in
from our
French
C.
Alps. Look around while I am piloting. On your left-hand side, you can see the Belladon mountain range. And on your right-hand side, there are the Chartreuse Mountains.
It doesn't like you actually just looking around.
Beautiful,
It
aren't
wants
they?
you to use those shortcut keys.
On the count of 3, I will give you control of the helicopter. Prepare to slightly push cyclic forward to maintain the correct attitude. 3, 2, 1. It's yours now.
knots, 80 knots, 80 knots, 80 knots. That's all I want to do this time is maintain that 80 knots. See, I am applying cyclic control,
Using the cyclic,
but
keep the
it wasn't
helicopter in straight
recognized the
flight
input
along
because the
eyes of river you can
sensitivity
see
is
below.
to the point where it wasn't enough
I
movement
will
for
take
him.
care of the collective control and maintaining the altitude, so you can focus on our speed and ground track. Reach cruise speed of 80 knots.
I'm
Push the
there.
cyclic to speed up, or pull the cyclic to slow down.
I've got the airspeed indicator just slightly below the banner this time instead of trying to maintain a little bit more of a visual on the overall horizon.
To maintain the same speed, try to remember the position of the horizon line and maintain it visually in the same place. That will make sure you are flying with the same speed.
Well, I'm actually hands off right now because the trim that we did in the last flight is still very
Keep flying
nicely
straight
done.
until the river begins curving to the right.
Maintain 80 degrees air knots.
See how you always need to keep the cyclic deflected
Air
to
knots?
maintain the same attitude?
Not garlic knots?
After you found a proper cyclic position, use the
But you want to
cyclic
be able to
trim
try to keep
release
that
static forces.
in the green for as long as possible. Elevator trim up.
Feels better now, right?
No, actually, I just moved it from when I had it before, and you're making me speed up. Oh, I just barely caught off of it for a second there. If you're just joining us, we are getting our commercial pilot's license for helicopters. We're in a Cabri, learning about maintaining airspeed, trim, cyclic control, and all the things we already know.
Here we are. Let's try some turns now. You see the river is turning right?
Nope.
Try to fly above the river and turn right together with its curve.
See, once that airspeed indicator gets too far out of the view, I am not liking it. I've dropped so far below because of that banner being in the way. I have to remember to put this airspeed indicator at the very bottom of the monitor.
There you are.
This is our second time around doing this too, and I'm really curious to see if we can improve
But this
our
time, try to make
grade.
the turn coordinated. Don't forget to use pedals to avoid any slip and skid, just like in airplanes.
I am turning left, you fool. How much of a turn do you need? A little bit more, apparently? Okay.
Now you see how little pressure on the controls you need to control a helicopter. Let's do something you never do in airplanes. Let's bring our airspeed to 0 knots. Gently pull the cyclic back until you reach 0 knots.
Alright, we should be getting a lot closer to being done with this for the second time. I've got control over the stick backwards.
This is called hovering out of ground effect. Feels interesting for airplane pilots, doesn't it? Keep the cyclic back to maintain 0 knots airspeed. Now try to use your trim to move the neutral position of your cyclic. You can trim the helicopter when you hover, when you climb, or when you are in cruise. This releases the forces on the stick and lets you better feel the controls.
And our cyclic trim reset.
Nice.
I don't know why the nose jumps up like that, but either way.
Easy. I want to admit that currently I'm helping you stabilize our helicopter. You see, since we slowed down, The airflow over the tail is not enough to counteract the helicopter's rotating tendencies anymore. So I keep pushing the right pedal and adjusting our cyclic a little to stabilize our flight. Let me show you what happens when I stop helping you.
Nada.
Okay, I am assisting you again. Don't let these rotating tendencies scare you. It is a fun challenge, and you will master it in no time during our next trainings. You were really good with maintaining the correct speed and making turns. See you in our hovering trainings.
All right, we got it good that time. You gave us a compliment instead of some suggestions on how to improve. So, yep, there we go. It is possible. They have done so much work. We're gonna keep risking it and go to next training. Here again, we're gonna give these options all a little bit of a look, but it is not loading the graphic, it's loading a star field. So I am going to go back, and I'm just kind of almost teaching this simulator that it needs to be able to go down both paths instead of just one. And so far it's not learning anything. So now we're going to be using the collective training, take off to a hover and explore vertical flight. Yeah, it's the first time I've ever explored vertical flight since I have over 2,000 hours in these things. And now, of course, we do see the runway. We can see the brief. We can go back. We can even look at the images. What do we got here? A bunch of stuff that we already know. Let's go back. Make sure that we're not missing anything again. Aw, it took us back to the headquarters. I didn't know it was going to do that. Fine. It doesn't look like we missed anything. Okay, brief, flight plan, images, start training. Let's go. Been there, done that. Not going back. Well, I won't stand by that until we can actually get through this. Now, during this load-in, I've always, just keep the mindset of just being patient. While that start banner at the bottom is grayed out, don't use it. Let the system load. It's happening in the background. What should happen is that thing should turn yellow, just like that when it's ready, right? There you go.
Welcome to our first hovering lesson. To hover in ground effect means to maintain a constant position a few feet above the ground. It is not as easy as it sounds. In fact, hovering a helicopter is challenging. A bit like trying to pat your head and rub your stomach at the same time. A helicopter has 3 highly sensitive controls.
See, I need to change the sensitivity of this hat switch that I have controlling this camera.
Your first control to master will be the collective lever. Remember, it is located on the left side of your seat. The collective controls your height above the ground. We will use it to take off to a hover. When you raise the collective control, the pitch angles of the main rotor blades increase. This increases lift, and the helicopter climbs. When you lower the collective, pitch angles decrease. This decreases lift, so the helicopter descends. Easy, right?
I mean, it's thorough, but man, is this overkill. They need to drop an option in here for anybody else that hasn't even started doing this yet. They need to drop an option in here to skip the tutorials. They really do. What if you get like a seasoned pilot who's been flying his career in helicopters for 30 years, and this is something that he does for a hobby, and he wants to go ahead and do like any missions whatsoever in this? You're gonna force somebody, you're gonna force them to create a frustration. It's ridiculous. It is an ask that should have never even been considered of pilots. People who have no idea should have the option, obviously, but to force... I forgot. I didn't hear what he said. Uh-oh.
All good, and we are clear to go.
Oh.
You have collective control now. Slowly raise it to the point where we become light on skids. This will be around 65% of available power. Be careful. First, you won't see any reaction to your movement, but power will catch up soon. Now move the collective just a little more to get to 2 feet altitude hover. And don't mind us moving laterally. Today I will take care of that.
Reach 2 feet.
There you are. Keep hovering at 2 feet now. You see, since we are hovering so low, the altimeter will be not useful. Judge your altitude just by looking outside. You are higher than 2 feet now. Lower collective a bit to descend. 2 feet is approximately 1/3 of the length of the Cabri skid.
Ooh, that's a good point. A nice little tip right there. Waiting for that blue progress bar to reach the other end.
Remember, the main trick of the hovering challenge is to move the controls as gently as possible. There you are.
Don't say.
Keep hovering at 2 feet now. When you find a proper collective position, you don't need to keep adjusting it, given that we are not moving and there is no wind like today. You see, since we are hovering so low, the altimeter will be not useful. Judge your altitude just by looking outside. 2 feet is approximately 1/3 of the length of the Cabri skid. Look around and memorize how 2 feet of altitude looks. Also, look at the power indications and memorize the number. This is the amount of power required for hovering in ground effect, and it depends on lots of factors such as our weight and the weather. But you may find it useful to remember this number for our training today. Now let's see how little you should increase power to hover at 8 feet altitude. Gently raise the collective just enough to get to 8 feet altitude and stop there. Great. You are getting more and more confident with collective control. Keep hovering at 8 feet while I am talking. Look around and try to remember how 8 feet altitude looks like. It is an important altitude. You should avoid climbing higher when you hover in ground proximity. We will talk about it more in our later trainings, but for now, just remember, if your engine quits when you are higher than 8 feet and you don't have enough airspeed, you won't be able to land safely. So whenever you hover stationary in ground proximity or hover taxi, stay below 8 feet and you will be safe.
Below
Now let's
8
go back
feet
to
for
a
a hover
2-foot
time.
hover. Still remember which power indications to aim for? There you are.
I am
see that
having
now you
to
understand
slightly increase,
sensitivity
decrease
and
the
inertia of the
collective to
collective
react
level
to
much
it.
better.
Obviously, I am in a little
Our
bit of
last
a
objective for this
turbulence here.
training session is landing from a hover. Remember to always stabilize your hover at 2 feet altitude before touching the ground. Now, very gently lower the collective control until you find yourself firmly on the ground. Remember to always stabilize your hover at 2 feet altitude before touching the ground. Congratulations! You just did your first landing from a hover. You mastered collective and hovering flight pretty well. Time to start mastering anti-torque pedals now.
Just pretty well, huh? I agree. The one thing that I'm actually interested in learning a little bit more about is the auto rotation, and I'm pretty confident they're going to make us run through that. All right, 85% reach and maintain hover altitude. Yeah, I did kind of take a little bit of time on that, but it's still an A rating. I'll go with it. Next. Yada yada, here we go. There's quite a few more of these to do. See, it says, I'd recommend to train more to have a chance. I agree completely. I also think that I'm gaining some additional, I forget what they call it. It's like reputation points or something like that. So here's our flight plan. See how we will load in this way. Everything works. We don't get the star field. We get everything that we need. Just quickly going through those menus. Anti-torque pedals. Ooh, see how much quicker this is loading
Welcome to
in
the
now that
second
we've been
part
here
of
for a
our
while?
hovering training series. This This time you will get familiar with anti-door pedals. I will be helping you at first, but by the end of this training session, you will be in full control over our heading. Let's start with taking off to a hover. You already know how to do that. Before raising collective, always check that all gauges are green, we have enough fuel, and there are no obstacles nearby.
And again, it will not let me use that as an option. I have to use the keystrokes, which is really ridiculous.
All good. You have collective control now. Gently raise it. Get light on the skids first, and only then take off to a 2-foot hover. Here you go. It is nice to see you are getting more and more confident with collective control. Stabilize your hover at 2 feet altitude. Here you go. It is nice to see you are getting more and more confident with collective control. Let's move on to the anti-torque pedals now. Stabilize your hover at 2 feet altitude. Look, they're located in the same position as the rudder pedals in airplanes.
He's so smart. I looked at the pedals. Why do I want to look at the pedals? You don't think I know where the pedals are? Are you serious right now? Really?
They also serve similar purpose, which is controlling the direction where the nose of the aircraft points. Only that in helicopters it happens due to increasing or reducing the thrust produced by the tail rotor. Try to gently apply pedals one after the other, and you will see how the nose yaws in the direction of the applied pedal. Easy, isn't it? Now try to turn toward the helicopter parking on your right-hand side. Apply the right pedal to start the turn, and the left one to stop at the required heading. Pretty good. When making pivoting turns, try to make one smooth movement, and then stop exactly at the desired heading. Now turn 90 degrees left, back to our original heading toward the runway and away from the hangars. Easy, right? Keep in mind that we use pedals to make turns like that only when hovering. We call it pedal turn. In cruise, we change the direction of flight using the cyclic stick, while pedals are used only for adjusting the side slip angle, like in airplanes. By the way, remember our briefing? There is a torque effect caused by our rotor rotating clockwise, and we use pedals to eliminate this rotating tendency. Until now, I was assisting you with the anti-torque control, so you would be able to try changing heading without additional stress of fighting the torque. It is time for you to have full pedal control. On the count of 3, I will stop assisting you with anti-torque. Remember, our rotor rotates clockwise, which means the torque effect will immediately turn our nose left. You will have to press the right pedal to counteract that torque. Ready? You'll be given full pedal control in 3, 2, 1, now. Try to maintain our original heading toward the runway.
Yeah, it just automatically popped me over to the left right there, even though I had the rudder control as if I was piloting the whole time. Listen, I am watching it, and look, oh, he wants... Wait a minute. Come on. I'm definitely not over my bubble anymore. And it starts over. Almost got it, almost got it.
You're doing good. Now let's turn 90 degrees left, toward the edge of the trees on the left-hand side. Yes, the helicopter will try to turn there itself, as soon as you ease your right pedal pressure. With small, gentle pedals movements, try to keep our nose heading toward the edge of the trees. Let's now slowly turn right all the way to the helicopter parking, which is behind our back now. Let's turn 90 degrees left, back to our original heading toward the runway. Super. Now you know how to change and maintain heading with anti-torque pedals, as well as how to counteract the torque. I will now let you perform a little more advanced landing than last time. You will have control of both collective and pedals at the same time.
I still do.
First, fully stabilize your hover at 2 feet altitude. Carefully maintain your heading toward the runway. Always make sure you don't have any movement or yawing before you touch the ground.
A little lower. I do think the assists are actually off for this, and that's something that the simulator is doing. Like it's been overridden.
Stabilize your hover at 2 feet altitude. Carefully maintain your heading toward the runway. Always make sure you don't have any movement or yawing before you touch the ground.
Close enough.
Congratulations. You landed while having full control of pedals in collective. Way to go. Today you mastered anti-torque pedals. See you in our next training session dedicated to cyclic control.
Training complete. Looks like we got a couple of chats here that I'm not seeing. It says live chat, top 3 messages are there. What's going on, everybody? Any questions for me? What do you got? We're going on to the next certification. It's going to always be a better reaction this way instead of going directly from there to the next stage. It seems like there's still glitches with graphics coming in and out. But moving on, we're going into cyclic lateral movements and eliminate drift. Check out the images again. We'll go here, we'll go there, we'll go into the briefing. Oh, it looks great. Okay, awesome. Next. I'm not here to play. I'm here to fly. We're in.
Welcome to the third part of our hovering training series. In this training session, you will get familiar with cyclic control, and you will learn to counteract translating tendency. Still remember this term from our briefing? Let's start with taking off to a hover. All gauges are green. We have enough fuel, no obstacles around. Let's go. Slowly raise the collective, get light on the skids, and take off to a 2-foot hover. Stabilize your hover at 2 feet altitude. Here we are. You probably realize that I am now helping you with anti-torque pedal control. This will help you to fully concentrate on the cyclic stick in this lesson. Look there. The cyclic stick is located between the pilot's legs and looks similar to a joystick or an airplane stick. By moving the cyclic forward, backward, right or left, we tilt the main rotor disc in a chosen direction and subsequently move there. We also use cyclic to counteract left drift caused by translating tendency. You don't feel the drift now because I'm helping you to fight it. I'll let you master hovering movements first before you face the drift. Now use pedals and turn the nose of the helicopter toward the helicopter parking on your right-hand side. the cyclic forward to get our helicopter moving. Establish a walking pace over the ground. The trick here is to move very slowly with the speed of a brisk walk. Gently pull the cyclic back to stop above the center of the heli parking. Good. Don't let the cyclic go. Keep making tiny corrections to maintain position over the center of the parking. Now make a pedal turn 90 degrees left, pointing your nose toward the runway again. You will now make a sideward movement back to our original parking. Keep pointing the helicopter toward the runway, but look left in the direction you are taxiing. Remember to move at a walking pace.
Oh, maintain header to runway. Maintain heading to runway. I see what they want me to do. Well, there's the runway. I get it. I see what you're looking for.
Nice. Now keep hovering over the center of the parking while I'm talking. Remember how I was helping you to fight the drift? On the count of 3, I will stop assisting you, and you will have full control of the cyclic. Be ready to experience a left tail rotor drift and apply cyclic accordingly to stay over this parking circle. Ready? Prepare to push the cyclic slightly to the right. 3, 2, 1. Your control. Remember, all inputs should be small and quick. You need to make frequent control inputs and corrections just to stay over one spot. Not bad. This improves with practice, of course. Okay, time to land while having full control over cyclic and collective, of course. Try to be as close to the center of our parking circle as you can. Don't worry if at first we'll be a little outside of it. Stabilize your hover at 2 feet altitude. Make sure you don't have any movement before you touch the ground. It is very important because we can easily get dynamic rollover if we are not careful. Now, gently lower the collective control until you find yourself firmly on the ground. Congratulations. You landed while having full control on cyclic and collective. Way to go.
Okay.
It's not and you are ready to try hovering fully on your own now.
It's just such a waste of time to be doing this. We should not be forced to go through this. However, I mean, sure. It's fine. You got to do what you got to do, right? I mean, it's not going to take 6 months to get all of this done. We're really not that far away from it. I could technically just skip through this part of it and go directly onto the test. But again, I want to have those extra points in this to kind of keep that prestigious level about it. You know what I mean? You want to make sure that you have the best rating possible when you go into doing the missions. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. I'm trying to acquire as many of those points now as I possibly can. And I really like how quickly we're loading in right now. That's stupid fast compared to 2020. Microsoft has done a great job with recovering from the issues they had on launch day. Much more stable platform today.
Step by step, you will have full control. And by the end of the training, you will be hovering all on your own.
You think?
Okay, ready? All gauges are green. We have enough fuel, and we are clear to go. Using collective, get light on the skids first, and then take off to a 2-foot hover. Use pedals to maintain a heading toward the runway, and cyclic to keep us exactly above the center of our parking. Here you go. Remember how we were practicing pedal control?
Nope,
and
I forgot.
counteracting the torque? On the count of 3, I will stop applying right pedal and helping you to counteract the rotating tendency. Make sure to maintain the heading toward the runway by using pedals. 3, 2, 1, go. Pedal control is fully yours now. Just maintain the heading for a few seconds. Good. You work well.
Whoa, just caught it right on time. As soon as I
Now
started
let's add the
losing.
translating tendency. On the count of 3, I will stop applying right cyclic, and I will let you counteract the drift by yourself. Try to stay above our parking circle, and of course don't forget to maintain the heading. 3, 2, 1, go. You have full control on the helicopter, and you are hovering all by yourself.
Oh, finally. Lots of ground effect. Yeah, the assists definitely deactivate automatically all by themselves. There's nothing. There's nothing assisting me there. There's no rudder assist.
And eliminate drift in the horizontal plane. Use collective to maintain desired altitude. Use pedals to control nose direction or heading. The interaction of these controls makes learning to hover difficult, but so exciting.
Yep. This is not exactly
Do your best to keep your
difficult.
heading and to maintain your position over the parking area. But don't worry if at
But
first you're a
the
little too far from it.
flight dynamics of the helicopter are greatly improved compared to what they were in 2020. This is a fantastic
And don't
representation.
forget to breathe.
Of what it actually is like to hover in this much turbulence, this close to the
Nice.
ground.
Next time you will do even better. Let's practice a bit of hover taxi now. See the helicopter parking stand that is farther away from our parking? Let's fly there, flying over empty parking on the way, and always staying at the hovering altitude of 2 to 8 feet. Remember to move very slowly, with the speed of a brisk walk. When you move fast, the effectiveness of the rotor increases, which lifts you up and requires you to lower collective to keep your height. And then, when you begin slowing down, you will have to raise collective again to have enough power to hover. But if you
I'm
move
surprised they
slow and
didn't
make all
actually
inputs
mention it.
gently, you don't even need to use
But
collective
that forward
much.
motion
Try
that turns into an increase of altitude is translational lift. I think it would have been nice if they actually included some of that verbiage in there to maintain accuracy and, provide a little bit more of a lesson to the issue instead of just kind of dumbing it down. Well, well, well. Now, see how long each one of these individual training sessions is lasting? Imagine going through this, and after every one of
Try to
these
stop exactly above the
missions
center of the
or
parking circle.
tutorials,
Now let's turn
the
left
system
toward
crashes.
the runway again.
Yesterday was so painful.
taxi is an essential skill you will need in every flight. In our last objective for today, you will land from a hover while maintaining full control on the helicopter. Try to be as close to the center of our parking as you can, but don't worry if your first landing won't be exactly on the spot. Stabilize your hover at an altitude of 2 feet.
Come on, get that nose over.
Make sure you don't have any movement or yawing before you touch the ground.
Oh my goodness. I want that blue progress bar to be there, but I also want to be in the middle of my mark.
Now, gently lower the collective control until you find yourself firmly on the ground.
You don't think I'm trying to do that? There we go. Wow. Okay.
Congratulations. You just did hovering and landing from a hover all on your
There
own.
we go.
You
That's
have
one step
mastered
closer.
Hovering in ground effect. See you in our next training, where we'll take off and climb.
Take off and climb coming up next. Finally, we're going to be doing a little bit of forward flight. Another A ratings, some 96, 98, 97, 94. Soft landing. Yeah, I had a little bit off on that, but not horrible. I'm taking it. What I'd like to be able to do is take it to a SAR mission as soon as possible. But we're being forced to do all of the trainings as if we're new. So this is now take off and climb. We're going to see the brief. We're going to ignore the brief. We're going to go back and do the flight plan. We're going to do the imaging. Avoid operation in this area. So we're not going above. Let's see what's going. VY associated takeoff profile trajectory indicated airspeed in knots. Start training. Anybody else gone through this process yet? And does anybody have their commercial pilot's license for helicopters yet? I'm very curious to know how large of an audience this portion of the simulator is getting.
And climb lesson. Before taking off to a hover, always check that all gauges are green and we have enough fuel. As you can see, we have half a tank, which is more than enough for our training. Ready to go? I'm not helping you today, so it's all you.
Thank goodness he's not helping me.
Gently raise the collective and get light on the skids. Correct yaw and drift, and then proceed to a 2-foot hover. Stabilize your hover over the parking area and maintain an altitude between 2 and 8 feet, just like in our hovering training.
I love the way the grass is moving
Now
under the
follow a taxi
wind
line
from our
toward the
rotor
helipad,
wash.
but stop before the intersection with the taxiway.
And I do like how this ribbon on the ground is so close to that building that I would risk actually putting my rotors into it, yet they want me to go there anyway. Hopefully I'm not going to be dinged for being off of their path, but I'm erring on the side of caution and being aware of my rotor arc. So sorry, Microsoft, I'm not following your plan. I don't like it.
Stop before crossing the taxiway to check for traffic. Look right to make sure there is no aircraft on the taxiway. Look left to make sure there is no traffic on the approach. Now you can taxi to the center of the helipad.
It actually recognized the look around without having to use the shortcut keys that time. I wonder if that's that learning process kicking in again. I have a feeling there's quite a bit of deep learning in this. AI is becoming very powerful.
We will take off along the runway, but which direction? Left or right? Look around, find a windsock, and check the wind direction. We always prefer to take off with a headwind. See now? Turn your nose against the wind, parallel with the 04 runway. Taking off in this direction, over the grass. Make sure there are no other aircraft on the taxiways that we're going to cross. And we are ready to go. Start moving forward slowly. Keep your altitude under 10 feet until you reach 45 knots airspeed. Maintain the heading. Notice that the faster you are, the less right pedal you need to keep your heading. Now gently rotate, reach, and then maintain 50 knots at all times in the climb. Maintain 50 knots airspeed and raise the collective for a more effective climb, but don't exceed 100% of available power. Your task is to reach 1,000 feet above sea level and then make a right turn along the crosswind leg of the pattern. Turn right while still climbing. Standard helicopter traffic pattern is right in order to not intersect with the left traffic pattern of airplanes. Not a bad attempt, but I would suggest trying again, and remember to always stay out of the danger zone of the height to velocity diagram.
All right. Whether or not that was a 100% success, I don't know. I'm just going along with it. If I get a B on this one, I'm not going to try to redo it. I think a B is going to be enough in this one. I honestly just want to start trying to like push through these. C? A C? I don't know. I don't think I'm going with the C, guys. I'm trying it again. Sorry. I got to do it. A B would have been acceptable, but a C? I don't think so. We're going to go again.
Beautiful
one more time.
Airport today. Perfect for our takeoff and climb.
Because I didn't maintain that 10-foot altitude while trying to get up to 45. That's all it was. I got a little too high.
As you can see, we have half a tank, which is more than enough for our training. Ready to go? I'm not helping you today, so it's all you. Gently raise the collective and get light on the skids. Correct yaw and drift, and then proceed to a 2-foot hover. Stabilize your hover over the parking area, and maintain an altitude between 2 and 8 feet, just like in our hovering training. Good. Now follow a taxi line toward the helipad, but stop before the intersection with the taxiway.
Getting a little more comfortable with the controls of this thing. I mean, it's a lot more squirrely than something like the H-145 or the 225 or the 160, honestly. This is probably one of the more squirrely helicopters that they have in the base sim. Obviously, the H-145 and those other HPG choppers aren't in the base sim, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it. That rotor wash on this grass, though. What a cool little effect. One other thing that I saw while doing a little flying around in choppers is sometimes over the grass you'll get blades of grass and other debris flying up under your rotor wash. Simulation looks really good. I also tried to take that de Havilland water tanker that we got for pre-ordering and landing that in the water and trying to check out the simulations. And once I got a full tank, I couldn't even lift off of the water. You got to be really, really careful with that and maintain your weights and balances as you do that. It's really important to make sure that you have the proper amount of fuel on board while you're doing that water tanking missions. It does look like a lot of fun, but again, I'm a helo pilot. I've actually considered doing the agricultural work too, which I think would be quite a bit of fun.
We will take off along the runway, but which direction? Left or right? Look around, find a windsock, and check the wind direction. We always prefer to take off with a headwind. See now? Turn your nose against the wind, parallel with the 04 runway.
Trying to keep those gauges in the right view so I can see that 45
Make sure
mark.
there are no other aircraft on the taxiways that we're going to cross. And we are ready to go. Start moving forward slowly. Keep your altitude under 10 feet until you reach 45 knots airspeed. Maintain the heading. Notice that the faster you are, the less right pedal you need to keep your heading.
I'm still above that 10-foot mark.
Now gently rotate, reach, and then maintain 50 knots at all times in the climb. Maintain 50 knots airspeed and raise the collective for a more effective climb, but don't exceed 100% of available power. Your task is to reach 1,000 feet above sea level and then make a right turn along the crosswind leg of the pattern. Turn right while still climbing. Standard helicopter traffic pattern is right, in order to not intersect with the left traffic pattern of airplanes.
Definitely not maintaining speed.
But I would suggest trying again, and remember to always
I'm probably getting the C again.
height to velocity diagram.
And if I am, I'm going to accept it and move on. 2 efforts. If it's the same result, that's just the grade I deserved, right? Moving on. I think we got, yep. Oh, don't care. C it is. See you later. Trying to maintain airspeed in the choppers is exceptionally more difficult than it is in fixed-wing aircraft. May become a little bit easier if the trims are spot on for each aircraft prior to doing these. All menus have been reviewed. Starting the training. RTB, here we go. 1 step closer. Now we're on to approach training. Look at the speed these are loading in at now.
Hi there, I am controlling the helicopter now, and we are approaching the right downwind leg of the Grenoble-Le-Versau traffic pattern. Prepare to take control of the helicopter in 3, 2, 1, now. Good. Today we will perform an approach to a helipad.
70 knots.
Maintain 70 knots airspeed in 1,200 feet altitude. This is 500 feet above the ground, which is a typical traffic pattern altitude for helicopters. Look right and find our helipad. When we are abeam the helipad, we will start to slow down.
Trying to get to the altitude and speed that they need. Trying to keep these requirement boxes here up in the green.
Passing the helipad on the right, start slowing down to 60 knots airspeed. You will have to reduce the collective a little to avoid climbing.
There's my 60 knots.
Turn right to the base leg. Keep your turns coordinated. Ball and yaw string should be centered. Slowly begin your descent. For a normal approach, after our next turn to final, we want to be 1,000 feet MSL.
60 knots, not 40, guys. 60 knots, not 40. Why am I looking at the damn ground? The camera is still drifting, even though I believe I have a dead space there. This is probably going to be a fail on this training right here.
Now look around, check for traffic, and then make a right turn to final. Aim to arrive to the final leg at 1,000 feet altitude with 50 knots airspeed. See the helipad? Try to keep this angle of approach now. Start to gradually slow down. You have to coordinate your descent and speed, and arrive at the helipad with your ground speed and descent reaching 0 at the same time. In the last phase, slowly raise the collective to
because I can't see the damn airspeed indicator because of this stupid banner on the bottom. Like, I'm already going to hover, for crying out loud. It covers up so much of the airspeed indicator that you just can't even see how fast you're going. Like, I mean, I could probably put the heads-up display on at that point, right? Yep. Very frustrating. Yeah, that thing just keeps drifting. I'm going to go back into my settings after I land here and get this mission set done with, and I'm going to double-check the dead zone on that head switch. This is probably another C. I think as long as I don't crash the helicopter, I'm going to wind up passing.
Here you are. Stabilize your hover over the helipad now. You can trim the helicopter when you hover, when you climb, or when you are in cruise. This releases the forces on the stick and lets you better feel the controls. Good job. A little more practice, and you will be a pro. That was a very good approach. Way to go. I believe you are ready for your first solo flight.
Thank you. I'll take it. He's complimenting me instead of giving me suggestions, so it might have actually been better than I thought. A B, yeah, I was expecting a D. Keep your turns coordinated 0? What? Get out of here. Whatever. I had to be using the cyclic and the rudders at the same time in order to make that turn, and it was coordinated because I didn't spin out of control. I don't think that's a proper assessment of that input at all. It's almost like you need to whip the thing around real quick just to get a nice valid input recognized by the requirements. And then all of a sudden, yeah, whatever. Hover, rotate. So we're basically doing a flight right now. Significant milestone. Pre-flight. We're going through the pre-flight checks thoroughly. Don't forget to remove cover. Safety first. Yada, yada. Oh, we're so close to getting our CML right now. That would be our CPL. Wow, okay. All right. Very good. Look at how quickly we're loading in. Way to go, Microsoft, Asobo, and the rest of the team. Bravo to all of you on recovering from what was a very stressful launch day.
And I have complete confidence in your skills and abilities to make a perfect traffic pattern.
Remove roto covers. Remove
and you know what to do. Stay calm.
pedos.
Trust your training and remain focused.
We're going to come over here. We're
and don't
going
forget
to
about doing a pre-flight check and removing
that.
all those covers.
We're going to come into our engine cobble. I'm going to lift this bad boy up right here. We're going to check some fluids. It's interesting is it doesn't actually give that a green check mark after you do it. I don't know if it's just a visual inspection thing, but there's no way to actuate these or anything to really get on. But look at the detail that went into this engine compartment. Well played, people. Well played. We got an inspection on our tail rotor. Look at, I mean, every little nut and bolt in here. Hydraulic lines, I mean, electric wires. This is a wonderful model. I love how you can even see the reflection of the ground and markings in the fuselage here. They have done wonderful things with the UV mapping on these models. This is so incredible compared to what we were dealing with in 2020. I mean, we obviously enjoyed it enough to stick around and wait for 2024 to come out and never stop using it. But see, this one had a button press of equals to get into the cockpit. It keeps changing from one aircraft to the next. It doesn't want me to go through the startup itself. It wants me to use the Control E shortcut keys to get that helicopter started up, so that's what I'm doing. Let's go ahead and take a peek outside. Our flight instructor's actually just chilling out right here. He's watching from outside. I got to remember not to run the tail into him. I think that would probably warrant a pretty bad grade. Almost completely spooled up. We have 503 RPMs. We're getting down to 20%. Everything looks to be pretty stable. Stop at the helipad. So here we go. We are going to fix our view a little bit here so we can see that gauge. Gonna lift this bad boy off to that 2-foot mark. Even though those call outs aren't requiring me to do that, because it's stuff that they have taught us to do, it's something that we need to continue to do. Brisk walk. No translational lift. To remember to do the look left, look right when we get out to the hold short. Even though it does not have a hold short marker on the ground, since we did it in the training, I am going to complete the step again, whether they are asking for it or not. I am looking to the right. I am clear on the taxiway to the left, clear on the taxiway to the right, proceeding to the helipad. It also said to look at the windsock first. After coming into a stable hover, we're going to check our windsock, make sure we're there long enough for it to be recognized. We're going to come back into our view. I'm going to change our view. Now, it also looks like I might not get the banners across the bottom here, so hopefully I can actually pull 45 knots at the proper height here. Knots around the turn, 60 knots around the turn, 1,000 AGL, but slowing down. I am a little under speed. Climb and maintain 1,200. Reach the downwind. I'm a little above that. Turn base 1,200. We're going to stay at 1,200. Oh man, that speed be dropping again. Altitude's way up. Speed. There's a little over speed now. Let's try to balance that out. It is still on the green for maintaining altitude. It doesn't look to be tracking my speed, but again, I kind of just want to be aware of the requirements in prior trainings. I'm overspeeding, but not in too much. So I'm making sure to use my rudder pedals left and right. Even if it does look a little sloppy right there, I want to make sure that I'm doing those inputs because it's asking several times for you to use a smooth motion between pedals and cyclic. Make the final approach to the pad. Try to keep this, I think he said 45 knots. Maintaining the heading. 45 knots coming in. That's actually a pretty nice little glide slope right there. We were in at 1,000 when we came in for the approach. It's going to want us to come to a 2 to 8 foot hover over the pad. And my first solo flight will be behind me for the 10,000th time. We're going to bring this down. Like it says, to maintain a 2 to 8 foot hover for a while before touching down. So I'm just going to very gently take some power out of the collective. Ah, I thought I was closer to the ground than that. That was a harsh landing. I have a feeling I'm going to pay for that. Stop at the parking stand. So it didn't want us to land yet. I'm probably going to wind up failing this. Here we go in the opposite direction now. They did not have us, or did they? I don't remember if we actually went back to our parking spot after that. I think we just ended the mission at the helipad. But since we're here and crossing a taxiway, safety first, we're going to look both ways before we cross, like we were taught back in like elementary school. Cross that taxiway. Nice, steady 2 to 8 foot hovering taxi. Try not to go too fast. And when I'm actually in missions, I almost never perform a taxi like I'm being watched by ATC. I'm not there to maintain accuracy of flight planning and all of that when I'm in missions. And I hope it's not a requirement when it comes to career mode. If it is, though, again, it should be one of those things that is an option instead of forcing you to abide by ATC for absolutely everything in or out of career. I think there is an option for it within the settings, but whether or not it's going to be functioning in 2024 is going to be a different story, because as we've seen, there has been a lot left to be desired as far as the just accuracy of certain things, button presses and button mapping. Engine auto shutdown, engine auto stop. So there's a binding that I don't have set yet. So we're going to go back into our settings, and I'm going to very quickly just go into controls. I'm going to put this on a keyboard, and we'll just start off with AUTO auto. Let's try auto engine. Shut auto hover. There's engine start. Auto hover off. What? Is it asking me for a key binding that isn't even listed here? Engine auto stop. Controls, keyboard, auto stop. Engine auto stop, we're going to put where? How about something like a S? We'll go back, save and go back, resume. Will it remember the button press? Yes,
Hey,
it
you
sure
can use
did.
the rotor brake to expedite the slowing
Dig it.
down and
Finally,
stopping
again,
the main
those
rotor.
were things that were glitching out in the last couple of days that they've fixed. Waiting for engine shutdown. Hold brakes to apply rotor. I'm not going to quite do it just yet. I mean, that engine's still spooled up quite a bit. We're not going to apply the rotor brakes just yet. I think that might be a little dangerous. What is the current RPM of our shaft at? 300. Yeah, let's wait a little bit. I think if we drop it below, I think it's 280 for the RPM when we engage the rotor brake. 280. We're getting there. And I also want to check the dead zone on this hat switch to see why the camera's drifting. I'm pretty sure that that isn't what it needs to be. So we will correct that before we go any further. There's the auto brake waiting for the engine shutdown. I would call that a successful first flight as a solo pilot. Are we able to open our door here, get a little bit of air in? Oh, it said waiting for shutdown. I got out early.
You flew perfectly with no mistakes. I couldn't be more proud.
Ooh, perfectly with no mistakes. Now I want to see that reflected in my score. I want hundreds across the board or I'm coming for you. See? Yeah. Oh, respect taxi path, 145%? Since when can you get more than 100%? Well, I suppose it makes up for that 90% for the traffic pattern path, but come on. When do you get over 100%? Hey, Microsoft, you need to work on your math. That's pretty great. You did so good. We're going to give you a bonus. 145, baby. That's better than good. It's better than perfect. It's fake. Rapid deceleration. Advance your skills with the quick stop maneuver. All right, this is something we had not seen in the prior training sessions for 2020. 45 knots airspeed, safe altitude, aft cyclic, lower collective, adjust pedals, maintain height, cyclic, aft, lower collective. Yeah. If you don't know how to pull up on a helicopter for a quick stop, go ahead and just hang up your keys. Here we go. But this load time is still just really impressive to me. We've been at the airport for a while, so all of this data has been cached. I right now have my cache on an NVMe drive. It's a 2 terabyte drive, and I have 400 gigabytes reserved for the flight sim cache.
Now, when you have more skill and understanding of the
Okay.
helicopter, let's
It's
move to
expecting
advanced
you to
maneuvers.
have your throttle in a
Keep
proper
hovering
position
over the
before you
runway
do
center
that.
line while I'm talking, okay? Advanced maneuvers often require a pilot to take the helicopter to the
Starting
edge
off
of
in
the
the
safe
green. I
operating
like it.
envelope.
Let's see if we can keep
Today
green the
we will
whole
learn
time.
to do a rapid deceleration maneuver. You will see, even though it is also called a quick stop, all inputs should be slow and gentle. We will begin with air taxi. You will accelerate to 45 knots, climb to 30 feet, and lower the collective a bit to keep this height
Climb
and
to
speed.
30.
We will want to fully stop above the arrow, which marks the very end of the runway. Remember the technique. At the same time, apply aft cyclic and lower the collective to maintain height and slow down. When the speed is almost gone,
Stop
and the
talking and just
helicopter
let me
begins
do
to
it, because if
settle,
I do it too
slowly
early, I know you're
raise
going
the
to ding
collective
me.
and add forward cyclic
You
until
ding
you
bee.
stabilize in a hover. That's
Come
it.
on.
Just don't forget to maintain the correct heading by using your pedals. Let's go. Start by moving forward, just like you do for the normal takeoff. Reach 45 knots airspeed while staying below 10 feet.
She wants to lift off right away. Come on, give me that 45 knots. You just got another 5 to go. Come on, do it. Give me 45.
30 feet while staying at 45 knots. This height and now aft cyclic and push the collective down. Keep flaring until you lose speed. To avoid ballooning, lower the collective and reduce aft cyclic. To avoid ballooning, lower the collective and reduce aft cyclic. To slow down the descend, raise collective, add forward cyclic. Adjust pedals as necessary.
Reach a 2-foot altitude. Stay aligned with the runway. What, you don't think I'm aligned with the runway? Okay, fine. I mean, how picky do you want to be? 2 feet. Come on, a little further down there, buddy. I know you got that rotor wash taking effect, but get there. There's my 2 feet.
Exercise normal hovering above the runway center line. You see, even though the maneuver sounds rather simple, it requires very high coordination of all controls.
No, not really.
Nice attempt, and I know that after some practice you will do better.
Nice attempt. So I'm going with B on that one, maybe even C. But again, if it makes me want to go through it at this point, I have extra bonus points that I'm going to go ahead and apply towards any. Yep, I'll take a C. A B's not bad. I'm in. Well, okay, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 of these left before we finally get our CPL. And then we have to start flying missions to earn credits before we can finally buy our own helicopter. There's just so many steps that you have to take, that you're being forced to take before you do this. Confined area techniques. We're learning with tall obstacles, but this is the last training session before the CPL, so that is extremely cool. We are definitely right around the corner from having our license. Yep. Again, how many people out there have their CPLs for choppers just yet? Anybody? I want to know.
Hi there. I am controlling the helicopter
Good
now,
thing, because my
and we are entering the
collective
left
again was set
downwind
to a
leg
0
usual traffic
throttle.
pattern. Prepare to take control of the helicopter in 3, 2, 1, now. Good. Keep flying straight and level. Maintain altitude between 1,000 and 1,200 feet. This is a good height for the high reconnaissance we are about to do. Our goal today is to operate in the confined area. See that small field surrounded by trees and hangars? That is our target. Fly closer to have a better overview of the field.
I wonder how confined of a spot it is. What are they going to do to us? Drop us down like a silo? Or is this going to be somewhere that's a manageable spot? Doesn't look too bad from this way. It doesn't look too bad. Reach the target. Set cyclic lateral axis.
Gradually slow down to almost a hovering speed now. We need to fly alongside the field very slow and explore it carefully. Check if there are any unexpected obstacles present.
That's not a
Wires, for
confined
instance.
area. Does it want me to land in that field and that's what it's calling a confined area? That's comical. I mean, I get it first time in training, you know, you don't want them going down the silo, but man, that's a lot of room.
Looks good to me. Judging by the windsock at the airport, we will will be landing parallel to the 04 runway. Let's fly downwind and prepare for the approach now. Speed up again. Deviate to the left to allow...
I was just going to go ahead and sidestep my way in there and just start to descend. Teardrop turn. Maintain 1,000 to 1,200 feet. I did drop below that. I have been below it for quite a while. I haven't reached the teardrop turn yet. I think I'm going outside of my flight plan here, and they might actually kill this session if I don't get back on track soon. Please let me keep going. I don't care if I get a D this time around. I got bonus points. Teardrop turn, 19 miles an hour. I'm at the preferred altitude. Teardrop turn is coming up right there.
Right and start slowing down and descending. Try to be at 1,000 feet and 50 knots airspeed when you enter the final descent.
50 knots. Why do you want to be moving 50 knots? It's just in case you need to auto-rotate, which, if you've noticed, was not part of the training. And I believe that that should be a mandatory part of helicopter training. If you do not know how to auto-rotate a chopper, you should not be a HEMS pilot. I'll tell you that much.
Now begin your descent to the landing field. Lower the collective more than you would normally, but avoid vortex ring state conditions. After a steep approach, you need to begin raising the collective higher and more forcefully to avoid settling and touching the ground.
You don't say. Valid tip, my friend. Valid tip.
Stabilize your hover now.
In the Cabri. Knocking out some hover training. This is our last...
Prepare for takeoff now. Make a pivoting turn back toward the downwind side of the field.
Takeoff spot. So, okay. Alright. I almost put it on the ground, but I'm glad I didn't. I'm waiting for those instructions. Trying to be a good boy. Trying. Reach the takeoff.
Hover taxi to the downwind corner of the field to have as much area as possible in front of us.
Okay, as much area as possible for this. You're putting me closer to the trees. Did you forget to take a look around?
Head against the wind now and prepare for takeoff.
Head against the wind now. So again, I haven't seen the windsock, have you? I'm in the middle of a cornfield. Look at the dust. Look at the amount of debris. Turn against the wind. Yeah, my little string on top right there. It should be telling us where the wind is. Turn against the wind. I haven't seen a windsock, and that was basically a full 360 degree. I found it. It wants me to go. I see. It wants me to go from here, so I have a little translational lift across the field.
Over our takeoff spot.
Yeah. Smoke looks really good. I love it. Let's get back in the chopper before I fail this. I'm actually in the middle of a progress bar for hovering.
All gauges are green. We have enough fuel, and we have over 10% available power in reserve. Slowly raise collective and lower your nose a bit to start gaining speed. Aim for 100% at MLI, but not more.
Fly over the obstacles, set laterals. Reset, trim, fly over the top of the obstacle. Don't mind if I do. What kind of obstacle are you talking about here? Trees?
transition to your usual climb with 50 knots airspeed. Well done. I see you are ready to operate in confined areas.
That was not a confined area, my man. I mean, that's a pretty loose definition of confined. 100%, 69%. What? 100%. Okay. Back to the certifications. Ladies and gentlemen, this should be the end of this, and now it should be time to take the test. And they are going to incorporate every little nuance of all of those little training sessions in there before we pass. Tips, you seem way more than ready. I'm just going to double check to make sure that we have every one of these selected and nothing has been added or subtracted. Everything looks good. Take the test. 3,500 credits, but I only have 3,000. It's not going to let me take the test. I need to earn more. What kind of... Restart the sim to retrieve your Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 items. Yeah, I believe it or not, I already did that, and those 2020 items are now back in my library. All of the marketplace aircraft that I had in 2020 are now available. Pretty dope, but how am I going to... I think if we go into the pilot license option here, since we have this, I'm going to earn some bucks first, because I need 500 more credits before I can take my CPL. So, let's see. If we go controls, we want to put... wait a minute. Why are we not in the aircraft yet? We're going to select this one. How do I do the missions? Take exam is there. Trim management. All of these things are done. I don't want the CPL in this line. What I want to do is actually earn credits. Missing certifications to fly this aircraft. What do you mean? I just took all of the training. I seem more than ready. I don't have enough credits to do it. And there's no option to get more credits, at least as far as I'm seeing here. Am I missing something? Where am I supposed to earn another 500 credits if there's no way to fly a mission on either side right now? Repass the exam. This is only for CPL. There's training, attitude, pitch. All of these have been graded. There's nothing below it as far as additional missions. Let's go back to HQ. Let's go to missions. There it is. All right. Welcome back to the learning curve. I need a little refill on that coffee cup. I have a little bit of a healthy coffee addiction. I have coffee by me 24 hours a day. Have you even fallen asleep with a cup of coffee in my hand before? Dark roast. The darker the better. All right, so what I want to do is actually just find a mission here that isn't too far away that we can get done rather quickly, and it's going to earn us only 500 credits, because that's all we need. Short ride over Dubrava. Sure. See, now you're seeing that I'm going to have to go back into a fixed-wing aircraft to do this. So in order to make sure that we have flight controls before we get off the ground, we're going to come back into our controls options and make sure that this is set up the way we need it to be. So we have the keyboard in the airplane configuration. We're going to get the throttle in my airplane configuration. Fixed wing. Do I have a fixed wing in general? I don't think so. Nope. We're going to go with my new general. And then we switch over to the collective. One last time. Fixed wing, save and back. All right. And here's that little trick. So I'm going to open up the snipping tool on my desktop and go to new and just really quickly kind of take one of these, and then I have this that I can bring over to the other monitor, so I have a constant reference of my flight path outside of my view. This is an important step to this process. I'm going to check the full briefing. I don't honestly think that much of this matters besides how many people I have on board and expected flight seeing duration. I do not need to spend 45 minutes in the air with these people as long as I check off the boxes along the way. So I am going to bring along an EFB, and I can also see that my flight plan is generated here. I can bring this up in flight and reference this and make sure that my aircraft is flying this path the whole time. I like it. I like it a lot. Keep it coming. So here's our flight path. What we've got is everything pre-populated. I am going to file the flight plan with ATC. Wait for the button to change colors. Then I'm going to send route to the avionics. Wait for the button to change colors. That means that that information has been received by those destinations. And we'll double check, and everything else looks pretty good here. I'm not going to mess with arrival or anything else, not changing it, but I'm going to continue to go down this list of tabs and fill out all of this information. So we are going to be Hotel 0675. We are in flight number 019. We are a call sign for the ATC of Search and Rescue. Heli 241. Wow, Heli. The arrow keys are not working in these text boxes still. This is something that I would really like them to get on, because you should have full keyboard control over at this point, right? Our block time we're going to put as, let's call this 2. We'll go 20. I am in Central Standard Time. We'll call that PM. For the nav and comm equipment, I am using the E1 variant. Here's another glitch. Even though I've selected that, the image behind it goes away, but if I hover over the X, it comes back. I can scroll down and then the menu reappears. All right, verify that it's accepted it. My XPDR is a squawk and altitude. It is a scheduled flight. Moving on. Here we go. This is where we put in our passengers. Backspace 2, you hit enter. That is putting in the information we needed. Everything else is self-populated by the sim. Everything else here looks good. Checklist is here. If we want, we can actually use this in flight to double check headings or use autopilot. And that is the end of that. We are going to exit out, accept the mission, and get this bad boy off the ground so we can get our extra 500 credits. So we can take our CPL in the old Cabri. EFB is on board. Fuel checks. Mission criteria, 33,660 EXP points. We're wanting quality, smoothness, both in flight and landing. I think that's something we all want. I don't see anybody like, you know what, I wonder how hard I can put this chopper down today. I wonder if I can bury this in the ground. All right. We're so close. We're so close. Oh, we're going to have to do the full inspection on this bad boy again, too. I wish there was a way you could skip past this. Like, I get it. It's real world, but come on. How many times do I want to go up to this thing in a simulator before I fly and have to go through all of these steps? C on the computer is crouch, press, hold for a little bit. We'll get that there. Right-click the mouse button, move down to the tire, press and hold for a little bit. As I move away, you should see check marks appear. Looks good. We're going to check the strut. We're going to check the wheel down here. And again, it's just a little button press that you press and hold for a little bit. Ooh, pretty flowers. All right, we're going to come out. Everything on this side is good. The checks on the ailerons, elevators, tail rotor, all of those are visual inspections that you will conduct from inside the aircraft before firing it up to make sure all of those control surfaces are properly operating. We remove that. We're going to crouch back down. We're going to put this bad boy into a secured position. Remove the chalk, check the tire. Everything should be good. Pitot tube covers the last thing. Come out from here. Take it off. And we are in. Shift C to get into the cockpit. Request boarding is the enter key. That's why I want these mission steps popped out in that upper right-hand corner. How do you know what the shortcut key is before you do this unless you're spending the time to thoroughly read through that list? Having that little pop out in the upper right-hand corners of these missions, to me, is essential. So, it says to complete startup procedure, go ahead and do E. However, I know that I need to actually look over here at my control surfaces first, give them a little whirl. We're going to come back over to the left side, give it a little whirl. We're going to go to the back of the aircraft. I probably could have done this in one maneuver. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome aboard. This is a search and rescue helicopter pilot pretending to be your pilot today. Yeah, welcome, and you're going to want your seatbelts. Control E. Now that that is done, waiting for the engine to start up. Shift spacebar is the reset cockpit view.
One of her colleagues came with her. They're good friends
We'll
of the
hit
club
enter
members,
on
and they're
our
living
right
nearby.
monitor to bring
So it's a
that
bit
up.
special to take them with you. If the seatbelts are fastened, you're ready for takeoff.
Are your
Let's go,
seatbelts
Captain.
fastened, ladies and gentlemen? Do I need to check? You look good. All right, you look good. Well, I don't know about good, but well, there's a little bit of an acne issue going on in the back seat right here. Look at the red corner of her eyes, man. She's the dispensary is right around the house from, or right around the corner from the house, huh? Ooh, she's gonna enjoy this flight. Press enter to announce taxi. Parking brake released. Stop and hold short. I am going to come out of the aircraft. I'm going to bring my flaps up into a 0 position. And slowly taxi.
Thanks for taking us aboard. I'm Anna. I'm thrilled to fly over to Bravo with you. Our office is somewhere in this area. We hope we'll be able to say hello to the team from above.
Hi, I'm Ivan, Anna's colleague. I can't believe we'll be up there in a few
I like how the
minutes.
truck's just driving around the grass, right? Enter to announce takeoff.
Lima Delta Zulu Charlie Traffic SAR. Heli 241 Tango X-ray. Sierra
Tab is the
011.
EFB.
Taking off
I can
runway
bring that up, and I
01
like to kind of
departure to
keep
west.
this either here with the headings mark or here with the overall image of what this flight plan looks like. It would be really nice if I could kind of move this thing into a different spot. Wow, it's saying it's June 6th of 23. Okay, did we hop into the hot tub time machine somehow? Wait a minute. I want Shift C. Oh, that's to get out of the aircraft. I want Shift C again. Oh, okay. What was it? What was it? Is Shift A for air traffic control? Yes, I want to announce takeoff straight out departure. I want to use ATC
Lima
as
Delta
much as I
Zulu
possibly
Charlie
can.
Traffic SAR. Heli 241 Tango X-ray. Sierra 8011. Taking off runway 01. Departing straight out.
Here we go. Flaps down 1. Powers up. Waiting for V1. Here comes rotation speed, 55 knots. And there it is. We're going to pull up on that stick. Nice and gentle. Get this thing in the air. I'm going to trim it a
This
little bit.
sensation is fantastic.
Trim it a lot a bit. Trim is way off on this. And now I just need to follow the flight path Choosing an altitude is also something. Up there it goes. Climb to 950 feet is our altitude, so that's what we need to get up to. Climbing, climbing, climbing. 950. So we're going to start our turn right here. We're going to start to descend a little bit because we're a little over 950. ATC infringement. You see what I said? Right? Flight. Even what was it? What was it asking for? What was it asking for? It said 950. Now this flight path points almost straight up into the air. Do you think my climb rate is going to be able to handle that? Nowhere else is it said to go this high. It said 950 feet. Why is the thing pointing straight up in the air? And
it's like
again,
the landscape is telling you its story up here.
I'll give you this
I feel
back,
very
right?
lucky
There's
to see
nothing
that.
in this box that we took a screenshot of that tells you what your speed needs to be or what your altitude needs to be. It's just not there. Even in the flight bag, in this flight planning, where does it say what altitude this mission is supposed to be conducted at? It doesn't. But it gives me a ding against ATC because why? Very frustrating.
You okay? Not scared?
I'm too excited to be scared.
I'm too excited to be scared. So, you know, on my lower right-hand screen, that flight plan did not get imported into my autopilot system or
Will
navigation
we see
system.
the office? Would be fun.
Oh, yes.
None of that information moved over. That just shows me like turning around and doing a touch and go or something like that. Flight of Dubra. So what I need to do is actually keep this up. And I'm deviating from that flight path. I am going to head down to 1,000 feet.
So how's your flight going, Anna? Enjoying the view?
Goran, thanks for asking. We're having a blast up here.
Good. I'll leave it to you then. Enjoy the flight.
You're hearing a lot of redundant information too, like these conversations that they're having with our passengers in every flight seems to be being generated out of a very short list. And you get a lot of repetition.
Do you see the town of Dubrava over here? Awesome.
Everything down below looks so tiny.
We are almost in Dubra. See, it had that flight path like 2,000 feet overhead, and then it wants you to circle the city at around 1,500 feet. So I kind of anticipated that just from experience of other previous missions that I was doing to acquire my private pilot's license. I'm going to shut this down while we're in this circle. It wants you to stay at about 85 knots or below, 87 knots. You cannot go below a certain speed, otherwise you'll get another ATC violation. So I try to keep this thing as, wow, the turbulence up here is really shaking me around today, boy. Almost getting a little bit too low. I don't want to go into that Y speed,
Stunning scenery.
but I don't want to go over 87 knots either. Come on, stay below 87. I'm having to cut quite a bit of power out of this to reduce. I mean, that's probably a tailwind handling my bounciness right now, but we're just gonna fly around this and hopefully not get too slow.
That's my place.
Again, these banners are showing up right over the top of vital information in your cockpit. I have a suggestion that we actually put these banners at the very top of the screen instead. Let's center these at the top of the screen so it stays out of the way of vital information on our instrument panel. What a ridiculous way to place that. Like, yeah, everyone's going to be in the cockpit looking at their instruments. Let's put the banner right over the top of what they're looking at. Yeah, brilliant. Let's throw that across the top where you're not impeding on vital information as much.
Back to reality, folks.
Fly around,
Hey,
Dubra
did
has
you
been
enjoy
checked. See,
it,
this
Anna?
isn't going to take
Ready for your
45
next
minutes.
flight?
There's absolutely no
Great flight
reason
over my beloved Dubrava.
that they
Let's
should
do it
say that
again.
this is a 45-minute flight.
Made our day, Captain.
I think it is a estimate of how long you could stay in the air. ATC infringement speed. What? Because I'm going. What speed? What speed do they want me to fly at? It doesn't say that. Oh my goodness. I love how they have requirements, but they don't tell you. Too many things at once. Too many things at once. They don't tell you what they're requiring. You know what I mean? What altitude was ATC expecting me to be at? Or if anyone out there knows exactly where I might be able to obtain that information in flight or otherwise. Oh, USB plugged in. Do I want to use it? No, I don't. Yeah, I'm plugging my phone in at the same time. The thing was about to die out. I can't be outside communications today. I am expecting some calls. We'll see what happens. I want to know what speed they're expecting, though. 2,200 feet. So the pattern entry. Let's tab this back again into our EFB and see what we're doing. See, we're way outside of our intended flight path here. So let's correct that and get back on track. This is going to give us enough points even if we completely fail this. I mean, if we crash and die, we're not going to get enough money. But any successful completion of this last mission here should give us enough credits to get that commercial pilot's license. I sincerely hope so, because this is taking way more time than it should. Of course, thanks to some bugs at launch, without question. There we go. Now, someone has put up a question on one of these videos that I kind of like to address. This is interesting. It's our good friend at STR33T Supra. Hey man, stoked to see these 2024 Heli videos coming out. Is there a career mode for just helicopters? Can't wait to jump in and try out. Yeah, there is absolutely career mode for helicopters. That is the intent of this channel, is to show you the journey on getting there. It is an extensive process because you have to get your fixed wing pilot's license first, fly missions, earn enough credits to continue on to the commercial pilot's license for the helicopter side of the career mode. Then you'll wind up getting that license, and at that point, we're about to find out what's going to happen, because that is where I'm at. This is the last mission that I'm going to need to fly to have enough credits to take the commercial pilot's license test for the rotorcraft. Connect to ATC. I'm missing it out. It says connect to arrival airport by pressing enter. I have pressed enter, and it's not going to allow me to do that. So here we go again. Air traffic control, announce overflying the airport.
SAR Heli 241 Tango
That still
X-ray,
does not
Sierra
tick that box.
8011 flying over the airport.
If I would have missed that, it would have also given me another ATC speed infringement. See what's happening here, guys? What is going on? What speed do they expect me to be at? And since when is a final this tight? ATC infringement. Is it because what? And those are all going to negatively impact my score. But what are they expecting out of it? I don't get it. Is it just something that I'm supposed to automatically know? So let's select a runway here. It's going to be the... Is it 19? Full stop landing. Flaps down. Wow, look at all these windows. These need to get shut down so I can see. Wow, what a busy little view we got going on here. Not okay, not okay. Too many things going on. All right, I am way under speeding this right now. Only at 70. I'm actually going to drop one more level of flaps in here so I don't overshoot this runway. I have a tendency of floating on my landings. I'm going to try to come in real early on my descent here so I can start my float pretty early. ATC speed infringement. Oh, according to who?
A bit shaky, but
What do you mean land? It told me I didn't land on the runway. I was dead center on the runway. Did you see that? It told me I didn't land on the runway. Are you kidding me right now? I have a feeling I'm going to wind up with some seriously degraded points after that because it didn't think I landed on the runway. Maybe it's because I had a little bit of a hop. I think my back wheels actually might have came up off the ground a little bit during that process. We're going to clean up the airplane, raise those flaps. But either way, I was still able to bring the aircraft back to the runway and stop safely. It's not like I overshot. I had a touchdown in a pretty good spot on the runway. I wasn't going long. It's probably just a little bit of a crosswind or something picking me up right there. What do we got? Yeah, see? Just a little bit of wind, not crosswind, but I just kind of came back up off the ground ever so slightly. So it's like it wants that landing to be wheels down one time, no hop, and then if you do hop, maybe go for like a go-around or something like that to avoid that. I'm not going to test it, that's for sure. I'm not here to fly fixed wing. I'm here to fly helicopters. We are in the hold short zone as requested. Enter to announce taxi.
Lima Delta Zulu Charlie Traffic SAR Heli 241 Tango X-ray.
I like how you need to go through all of these procedures like this, even at an uncontrolled airport. While in training. To do something that you're not in the simulator to do. Please go ahead and spend 72 hours getting your commercial pilot's license and private pilot's license and a fixed wing that you'll never use. I want the option to do this. I don't want to be forced to do this. I think it was an extremely poor decision. I'll stand by it.
Looks like they enjoyed it. That was a great flight seeing session. Cool.
Yep. At least they enjoyed it. Awesome. I'm pretty sure I missed some ATC calls in there. There's definitely some negative points with the ATC glitches that are in the software right now. And it goes from a D rating to a B. We get 15,160 extra XP points. No skip bonus, bad weather bonus. Wow, straight up to 36,000 XP. However, what I'm noticing is that's not credits. That's experience points. Aviator performance, I don't care about the other. I want to know why I'm not getting credits. Do I need to keep doing these before I can actually earn credits? Current bonus, mission reward, 2% bonus for each mission. Not eligible for a special mission. I'm leveling up to 6, from 6 to 7. Whoop-de-doo. No way. No credits earned. What is going on? Oh, so this is like 2 missions in one and it splits. That's interesting. See the little icon there that makes that one different? Oh my goodness. So there's a list of missions here and all of that. However, excuse me, would somebody please explain to me how I am supposed to earn money? Advanced map view. Now that doesn't look so advanced. Satellite, IFR, blend, satellite, okay, whatever. It's not showing me how to make money. Is it just that I need to keep doing these? Let's go back into HQ for a second here and do a little bit more investigating and try to figure out what's going on with all of this. Specialization has 1 unlocked. So let's see if we have ferry flights now. It requires level 3. Gear up. I can use these airplanes for these missions, and I have a feeling the ferry flights are what earn us money. I think I'm going to stay in the Cessna 1. Well, or I want something else. I don't like the way some of the thumbnails in this list are not showing the aircraft, like this Draco X. I have the aviation edition. I should have this visible in this list, but it's not there. Diamond, Clubcraft, yada 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 yada. Cessna 172. I think we're just gonna stick with this. So if we go here and rotorcraft, passenger transport, all of these are still in a red configuration, so I can't do these missions in a helicopter just yet. So we got to do this in airplanes. We got to go to ferry flights. We got to go to the Cessna. We're going to go back to HQ. We're going to go to missions. Now, what should be appearing in this option list now, I'm going to let this load. I don't want to move any further right now because this is an issue that I've experienced before that has led to a crash. I'm almost afraid to touch anything on here. I'm going to go back to HQ and try to reload this again. This is a situation that could end with a complete either crash to desktop or shutdown. Let's try it one more time. Again, this is that deep learning we're hoping to see. And it's not. Look at this. Hide. There is no list. There's no information. Let's take some of these off. I don't need to see cities. Multi-payer live traffic. Sure, that stuff can stay on. Friends. Let's go ahead and throw some friends in there. Let's get navigation of runways, live traffic, landmarks, heliports, airports. Okay, great. But where is... Oh, you just got me in the middle of the ocean for no reason at all? Let's zoom out a little bit. Why would it start you off in, like... What? Oh, man, that's good stuff. I'm going to choose a short one. Let's click on this. It says not available. You need to complete all specialization prerequisite first. I'm sorry, what do you think I need that I don't already have? I have all the prerequisites for this. It even allows... Well, come on, Microsoft. I get it. Excuse me. There's a lot of stuff to test. I really do think they rushed this release. Certifications. Reputation level is C. I don't like that. This is company not available. Mission sets are here. Once again, it's just loading me back into the water. Nope, this time I'm... Oh yeah, look at this. That's what it's doing. It's loading you in somewhere irrelevant and right on top of the water. So these are flight scene, first flights. Does it say what is required? It says not available, but it doesn't say what it is required for you to make it available. Information. Is there anything around here that tells you exactly what you need to do to earn the next option? Am I just missing it? Are they burying these types of menus and informations somewhere deeper? One passed, one unlocked. Yeah, great, but what do I need to be able to unlock the next thing? If I just go back, there's no information. This is lacking a lot of detail, in my opinion. It's not very clear what I need to accomplish before moving on to the next stage. And how long am I going to want to keep flying around in these stupid first flight missions in a Cessna before I can earn any credits at all? Why is this necessary, Microsoft? Why are you forcing me to use a simulator in a way that I do not want to? Missions list, recenter, number, it's just zoom. There's nothing that tells you what you need to get to the next damn stage. There has to be something that says what is required. So let's try this one more time. I'm going to go back into my HQ. Man, I want to know whose decision it was. I think it was actually Jorg's decision to put this as a mandatory feature. And Jorg, not a good call, my friend. Not a good call. I can't walk around and like speak to my trainer. I can go back to the main menu. Nothing in this is clickable. These are all just general options that are outside of my mission set. There's no scroll that is like there's another option over the side of this. So if I go into certification and I go in here, it says 5 of 2 first flight missions are complete. Turbine engine rating. I need the CPL. So now if I come in here and it says 35 credits, I click on this, it does not tell me what I can do to earn those credits. This is a fail. Am I wrong? I'm assuming that it's mission-based. I do remember my flight instructor at one point saying complete more missions before you can earn more credits, but I don't think that there was actually a number of missions ever mentioned. So, as unfortunate as it is, we're going to keep doing what we're doing and just pray that we get what we need. Right now, honestly, it's not looking too promising, and this is just an absolute waste of time. Sorry, Jorg. I love you and what you do. This is unnecessary, to say the least. All of this is still actually populated from the last time we were in here. I wonder if the actual flight mission itself... Look at this. Even this map doesn't wind up centered when you come into it. Okie dokie. That looks good. Passengers were 2. Oh, can't even hit 2. So I hit backspace, I hit 2, I hit enter. And as soon as you click away, it moves. Okay, great. So many different things that need to be fixed in here still. But I'm pretty sure that over time, we will be where we need to be. It's just going to be an excessive amount of time before we can actually do what we came to this simulator to do. Sorry, I'll stop beating a dead horse with that one, but how frustrating is that? I mean, when you think about it, I'd like to actually see a list of the percentages of what types of pilots are in sim. Like, how many people truly care about that feature versus how many people don't. Coffee. And here we go again. Let's burn some more clock. Man, is this ridiculous. Not the way I want to spend my afternoon, to be honest with you. Microsoft. I'm just shaking my head right now at you guys. Very poor decision to make this a mandatory portion of absolutely every single flight. Yes, there is Alt plus N. Let's do it. I want to go straight to this. I'm not going, I don't care if it dings me, but you know, I did get those no skip rewards at the end of it, but frankly, I'm over it. Could I benefit from having the extra points? Sure, great, but come on, how much time do you want to waste here?
Today, you're flying with one of our friends, Anna, over our very own region. She's got her grandma with her.
Who cares?
Seatbelt fastened? Then you're all set. Captain,
Man,
you know what to do.
this is not how I want to spend the time, okay? I'm here to fly helicopters. I want the private pilot license, but it's mandatory that you go through all of these ridiculous steps.
Lima Delta Victor, Delta Traffic SAR, Heli 241 Echo Whiskey, Zulu 989er is taxiing to runway 20.
Wow, there's a very generic looking helicopter. How orange is that thing? Come on, turn the aircraft. Turn the aircraft. There you go. You stuck on something? Wow, that thing is That's some sherbet right there, boy. Does it even give you enough room to pass through these? Barely. Alright. That works. Just make sure that this guy's tail rotor isn't in the way. It's a little tight, a little tight. Oh my goodness. And I'm not even sure that this is the right path to be taking to get to earn credits. And I'm sure that even if it is, I'm going to have to probably fly a different kind of mission before I can earn those credits. I'd love to be able to maybe just stick in free flight and do HEMS missions, but that also has not been made available as an option. It's like a one-path pony right here, and I don't think that that's the way Microsoft should have approached this. They should be kind of catering to the needs of many and not the desires of few. Obviously, you can put the functionality into the aircraft to appease everybody, but don't make it a mandatory process. We don't all want to go through this. Again, I said I wouldn't beat a dead horse, and here I am with a whip in my hand. But very frustrating. I think what I might actually do here is just kind of put some music on. We're going to put this in the background. And we're just going to fly around to some music. I'm going to ignore the chatter from my passengers. I'll try to keep track of ATC the best I can. But let's get something going in the background here. Turn that volume down a little bit so it's not so overpowering. Okay, aircraft came to a stop all by itself while I was doing that. Great stuff. Got a little bit of an overspeed happening here on the runway. That's a really quick takeoff. Actually, really quick taxi speed anyway. Alright, let's get this bad boy facing the right direction here. Again, it's not giving me the options that are required at this point of the takeoff procedure. The only thing I can do is announce takeoff. Oh, announce taxi. So this is immediately going to give me a negative interaction with ATC. The option just becomes available as I start to gain speed. And it's grayed out. Oh, there you go. I probably just don't have the volume up enough to be able to hear it. Climb to 950 feet. I don't want to be doing this right now. I'm sure you don't either. I apologize for the delay in progress, but it's not me. It's not you. It's Jorg. Yeah. I'm going to try to stay at this 87 knot mark the whole time. Or at least real close to it. It even gives you the option to skip to flight seeing, but again, that's going to give me negative points. I'm not going to do it at this point. I already skipped the one part. Again, it's got that flight path way over the top of what I've been told to fly at. I am not paying attention to those little boxes. But I do need to get it back up to 950. Let's get our flight bag opened up again here and see if we're following our flight path. I'm just going to minimize this one for now and stick it up top. We'll rearrange these a little bit better. Okie dokie. Yep. Overspeeding it again. But I haven't seen the ATC ding on speed just yet. It's repopulated passengers with 0, even though I do have people on board. Let's go. Wow, you're close. Okay. People are on board, but it doesn't recognize it in the EFB, and it eliminated the chance for me to put it in there accurately. It only said, no thanks, and reverted to 0. Come on. That's not the kind of glitch I want to see on release. These are mundane things that you should be validating prior to launch. And there's been so many of these little glitches in this process. I wonder if the team of people just isn't big enough for the time that they gave themselves to get to launch. Okay, so now this flight path I will adhere to. I believe it is the 1,500 foot mark. Set speed at 87 is being requested. Set altitude of 1,400. So let's try if we can do this. Let's go to an altitude height right here. Let's go autopilot altitude hold. We're going to go flight level change nose up. And hopefully our autopilot will help us maintain 1,400 feet so we can get better at that. Oh, we're way over speeding though. See, our attention came off of that and we went over speed. So what I am in the process of doing right now is trying to get my commercial pilot's license for the helicraft. Helicopters in the career mode do not become available until you've gone through missions and the private pilot license and fixed wing aircraft. And it is the most ridiculous requirement I think that they could have instituted in this simulator. Look at the controls. I'm actually left stick right now, and it's looking like I'm going the other direction. The control inputs on the flight surfaces in the cockpit are doing the opposite of what I'm actually doing in the controls. And they're doing it to an extreme level. There's another little glitch Microsoft should be aware of as well. It's not a true representation of my inputs into the aircraft. Well, it looks like my passengers are enjoying the flight right now. All of my requirements have been staying green for quite a while. Of course, as soon as I say that, I overspeed the aircraft. Wow, those little flight controls go in the other direction. So much is really pretty funny. So now it's asking me to go to the final. I can see the flight plan over on that EFB came a little bit farther out of the magenta line that I wanted to. However, still headed in the right direction. When it comes down to it, I will try to slide back into these guidance boxes because it wants me to fly to pattern as a requirement. It doesn't say fly to final, it says fly to pattern. There is a difference. I'm going to try to hit the ATC key. Yep, that worked. Okay. Then it says announce position, so we're going to do that too. Again, this little mission steps call out up here, I believe, is essential when going through this PPL, CPL process, so you're not missing all of these different options and receiving negative points. I'm going to actually remove my autopilot and go back. Oh, look at that. The flight controls all of a sudden are back into true representation. Interesting. And all I was doing was an altitude hold. A little bit fast. Let's start to bring this down. I'm actually going to drop in 1 degree of flaps. Pretty soon I'm going to be making a left turn to final so I can close my EFB and let the gateways in the sky here dictate my path. Excuse me. Do we have a visual on the runway? There it is. Let's back up a little bit so we can see that airspeed. I'm going to try not to overshoot or overspeed on my way down, dropping 1 more degree of flaps in here so I can easily start to drop in speed quick when those flaps come down. What? Max performance for flaps. Yeah, I am above the Y speed. I see what you did there. I did. You got me. I wasn't that far over. Ooh, it's a little bit choppy. One thing I have not checked today is what my frame rates are working at. Let's see what we're doing. We did get to land on the runway successfully that time because our landing gear actually wound up coming down 1 time with no bounce. Let's clean up the aircraft by putting up those flaps. Parking brake was set, so we came to a very abrupt halt. Very interesting on that one. Can we get a hold of ATC? Nope. Options not available again. What are we doing here, people? Why do these shortcut keys and inputs just constantly lose their binding at random? If I get some negative points, I get some negative points. I just need to know whether or not... announce taxi. Yeah, we have to announce the taxi on this uncontrolled airport with nobody except ground crew around. There's a single plane in the air anywhere. That plane just popped up out of nowhere. I wonder if that's real traffic coming online with us here. Somebody following along. Anybody out there flying with me? So let's set the brakes. Brakes are set. Control Shift E shuts down the aircraft. Waiting for engine shutdown. Mission success. Moving on. All right. Hopefully, we're going to get the option to earn credits this time around, because up to this point, we have not been able to earn additional credits. XP points, sure. Flaps extended max speed was the most important mistake I made. I did get some, see, there's that no skip bonus, bad weather bonus, another 34,000 XP points. Not too bad. Let's see what's going on here in the performance details. Avoid common mistakes. Okay, so is there anything in here about max speed? Don't exceed the aircraft's certified maximum speed. I never did. Always keep 30 minutes of fuel in the reserve, yada yada. Taxiing speed not above 20. Flight level 100 speed limit. This might comply with 250 speed limit when flying below flight level 100. I never got that fast. So I'm not sure what they're talking about when I'm overspeeding and getting dinged by ATC, but it's not an accurate thing even according to their own requirements. Sitting back in the old chair, we got that couch pulled up. Oh, our reputation, we went back up again. We had a C before that mission. I still don't see any increase in credits right here. We're going to go to next. Well, we're going to level up. We're on level 8. When do we earn credits, people? Does anybody know when we actually start to earn credits in this ridiculous mission set here? This is stupid. Certifications, 1 passed. If I come into the CPL Rotocraft one more time, take the exam, can't do it, don't have enough credits. Available after exam. I can't take the exam. Prerequisites for specializations has a green check mark. It is unlocked. Back to HQ. Specializations. It says 1 unlocked. First ferry flight. This ferry flight has now been unlocked for rotorcraft. But you need a CPL to do it. So all of these remain completely unavailable until I get a CPL. Everything else below it is deselected. If I go into the airplanes mode, ferry flight's done. I can even do flight seeing, right? So none of these have actually been a ferry flight. Everything I've been doing at this point is flight seeing. Even though I had ferry flight selected, that is not the mission set that they gave me. And it's still not giving me the option do I need to get a CPL for the flippin' airplane too before I can earn this? This ferry flights right here has a commercial pilot's license airplane as a necessity or prerequisite. I think in a roundabout sort of way, we've just discovered the issue on why we can't move forward. And man, does this suck. I need to get that CPL on this side, but can we do the same exact thing here is my question. Let's go to flight seeing since it's unlocked, but it needs that. I have passenger transport, but it needs the CPL in order to do it. There's nothing else I can do with the helicraft at this point besides take the test. So I'm going to have to do a ferry flight. And in order to do these, I need my CPL. Here we go again with just something that I don't want to be doing, but I'm being forced to do it. And again, we've got a list of training. Well, guess what we're being forced to do, ladies and gentlemen? Dear Jorg, please stop making things mandatory for me to do that I don't want anything to do with. I don't appreciate all of this nonsense. There needs to be an option to avoid this. I should have a way to bring over my flight time credits from 2020. If you could bring all of the aircraft over that I purchased and all of those flight models for every single one of those aircraft, you can grab a list of things that I've done. All right, we're going to kill the music. We're going to go back to listening to ATC. So 5,500 feet. What we're going to do is the altitude hold here. We're going to get us up to 5,500 feet. We're going to do a autopilot altitude. And let's change the heading bug to be... Oh, gee, I'd love to change the heading bug, but your banner is once again over the top of my flight controls. Let's put heading on. Let's drop the autopilot on. Then we'll go flight level change and up. Vertical speed, nose up. And engage autopilot. How frustrating is this? Reduce power to 2,000 RPM. I have to get there first, young lady. Man, she's pretty demanding, isn't she? So now that we have the green on that, let's bring the RPMs down to 2,000. The RPM is being displayed on the right side monitor in the upper left-hand corner of that screen. 2,000 RPM. There we go. Wow, I actually got it set there perfectly. I am maintaining 5,500 because I did learn the trick of using the autopilot while doing these. I'm on the autopilot, and all I'm doing is literally doing this just to check the steps and everything like that. Baby girl, I am locked in at 5,500 feet. All right? Add trim to stop using the yoke. Never came off of it, sweetheart. Does it want me to go back? There's no bug in the air to say what I'm going to be doing. Did she say to go back? I think she did. I might have the volume on my speakers down a little too much here. We're going to use the heading bug to turn this around, though, so we can maintain our desired altitude. And again, I'm just kind of guessing at what I'm doing here. Hopefully I'm not wrong. But this is a nice little cheat code right here for maintaining altitude during these testing missions. If we change the CDI down here, right there, I want to get on GPS. Trying to turn back towards the airport. I haven't brought up the flight bag at all. No flight mission data available. Air traffic control, that can't be reached. There's no option for air traffic control in the upper menu like there was in 2020. I don't know if that's something else you could change in the settings. I'm just haven't got that far yet. Honestly, I'm just trying to get into a helicopter to do a SAR mission. But instead, I've had to spend 3 days playing around with fixed-wing aircraft and pilot's licenses. Private pilot's licenses for fixed wing is not what I'm here to do. I can't tell if I've been complaining about this enough or not. I really should stop, though, huh? What do you think? It's not giving me any steps in the missions. It just has me free flying right now. Even if I go outside of the aircraft, usually it has some kind of tag floating in the sky to say how many nautical miles you are away from your destination. But I don't. This is so frustrating. Has anyone else made it to SAR missions? Anyone? Anyone at all? I want to know if someone has made it that far yet. In the aircraft. Come over here and GATS is here. Excuse me. Okay. Is that our airport behind us over there? Am I just going for too long of a flight right now? What am I doing? Oh, and horrible frame rates today. It's down to 23. You know what I might do? I might kick on the old faithful here real quick and see if she performs for us. Lossless scaling, 2.11 scale, ready to initialize it in 3, 2, 1. Frame rate goes down to 2, blinks out. Look at 1 frame. Now I'm at 30. Just like that. With a single button press, the GPU stays the same, which is great. But that jump in frame rates right there makes that scaling mod very helpful. It's a scaling app that I found online through another streamer's video, and wow, what a great tip that was. Where's the training airspace, fool? Can you show it to me anywhere? Is there anything on the flight bag that says where my training space is? I don't think so. I thought I was going back to that airport. Runway 2 run. Okay. I think I see what I did here. I've just kind of lost track of exactly where I was headed, I think is what's going on. At least I didn't get dinged for leaving the space. I got close, but not quite. What is going on in the distance over here off of the right dashboard? Is that just like a tabletop mountain that has some bizarre shape to it? I'd like to explore it, but not now. I just want to get back into the training area. And get this over with already. Can we seriously just do a HEMS mission? Don't complain about it. Don't complain about it. Don't do it. Well, let's see what's going to happen here. I do not want Premiere to open up. What is happening? Why is Premiere opening? I bet you anything, if that opens up all the way, my system's going downtown, Bobby Brown. Shut that down. Why did that open? I don't want that on. What is... How did... Just firing programs all by itself? You don't say. That is a rock face out there. It's got some interesting features to it. I will say that the fidelity of this environment far exceeds what we saw in 2020. However, look at that frame rate. Even with the scaling on, it's down to 15 frames per second. Frames per second. So I've just actually closed, or I should say minimized, my OBS software, the streaming platform that I use. And as soon as I did that, we get our frame rates back. And that kind of makes sense because that program is also utilizing resources on the computer to bring that overall experience down. Okay, I think I see a little flight path over there on my left display. That pink box, I'm going to try to keep that right about here. That pink box is one of those trajectory paths. The boxes that they put up in the sky to let you know where to go. See, but now what the problem is I have to open and close the OBS window in order to interact with it. And when I do that, that frame rate became not available. And it's back. Yeah. Oh, I see the airport. All right, let's take this off. It says runway 21, so what we're going to wind up having to do is fly past this. Let's keep the autopilot on. Let's go back autopilot. Because we're going to have to fly the base, come in. Yeah, I think this is Sedona. How are you enjoying your flight, young lady? Ooh, look at the topography up in here. So much better than 2020. Look at the definition on these spires. I don't like the flickering in the grass. I'm not sure what the heck that is, but I'm pretty sure it has a lot to do with 15 frames per second. Man, another guess I'm going to go with is that there's probably quite a few people back on their servers this afternoon. So they could be struggling a little bit again. I'm curious. Wow, we almost fell out of the sky. We dropped way down with our speed right there. Way down. Hold on. Disconnect the autopilot. Let me take control of this before we stall. Got close with that one. Good thing we weren't looking outside for that. Woo, that trim knob gets a little squirrely when you use it for the first time, huh? I hope my passengers... Well, I don't have passengers. This is just a training mission again, isn't it? Oh, a ferry flight. Or what was it? Oh, yeah, that's right. We're doing some of those certification requirements. All right, we are almost at the end of the runway here. We're going to get ready to turn. I'm going to drop one set of flaps. I am going to take the autopilot and... oh, that was disengaged already. Bear with me. I am not an airplane pilot. I hand fly helicopters. So this is not my wheelhouse. Got the 85 knots that I think they require. I'm going to go ahead and start my turn. I might be starting this turn a little bit late. I don't even know if this is something that they want me to do or if I'm overstepping. Ooh, look at the airplane break up as I move around it. Ooh, not sexy. Not sexy at all. What kind of music is this? Can we Can we not listen to jingle bells while we're flipping doing this? What's happening right here? How about something a little different? What do you think? Oh, man. Stop paying attention to this. Go here. Try again. Oh, crap. I'm going to shoot this runway, aren't I? Ah, look at the glitching happening here. I think there's too many people on this server set again. And all of their systems are being taxed again. I agree. Escape. Restart. The computer looks like it's about to crash. I'm getting a lot of glitching. And before this happens, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let everybody out there know that I will continue this process. I appreciate you hanging in there with me during all of this, but I am going to stop for now, come back later after I start earning credits and just explain the process of what I've gone through. Hopefully you've learned something out of today's video. Thank you very much for joining along. Once again, we appreciate all of you and your support. Here we go, and we're out.